I stood solo at my mom's hospital bed as she passed. Nearby rooms resounded with supportive families. Mine remained quiet, no dad, no siblings, no calls, not even a phony excuse as the doctor noted the time. A nurse gave me her last letter inside lay names. A key and one chilling instruction. They let her die alone, a woman who built their glittering medical empire, because she no longer served their ambition. What they never saw coming was that my dying mother had been playing a much longer game, one that would utterly shatter their world and hand me the keys. 3 months ago, the sterile air of Seattle Presbyterian Hospital hung heavy, not with the smell of antiseptics, but with a suffocating, almost palpable silence. My brother, Liam, performed his 200th heart surgery a few floors above, his hands steady and precise, utterly oblivious. My sister, Sophia, ran a high-stakes board meeting blocks away, her focus unwavering. 47 family members, all celebrated healthcare professionals, yet none could spare even a single hour for the woman who had painstakingly built their entire world. They didn't even send flowers, just a deafening silence, as if she'd already been erased from the family legacy. My name is Chloe Vance, and at 34, I found myself holding not just my mother's last words, but the detonation codes to a $340 million medical dynasty that my family believed was theirs for the taking. This is how my dying mother's secret letter transformed me from the family's overlooked disappointment into their most terrifying nightmare. The Vance name? It's practically royalty in Seattle's medical circles. For 3 generations, we've churned out a relentless line of surgeons, hospital administrators, and groundbreaking medical researchers. My grandfather, a man of iron will, founded Vance Medical Group in 1954, nurturing it from a single, humble clinic into the sprawling, multi-facility healthcare empire it is today, spanning 12 locations across Washington state, valued at an astonishing $340 million. Then there was Liam. At 42, he was the undisputed crown jewel, a cardiac surgeon whose hands had performed over 200 surgeries each year at Seattle Presbyterian. Our family home was a shrine to his achievements. Top 40 under 40, Surgeon of the Year, glossy photos with senators and governors. Every single family gathering was a monotonous cycle, beginning with fawning questions about Liam's latest, life-saving procedure. My sister, Sophia, just 38, was no less formidable. She commanded the largest private hospital in Seattle with the ruthless precision of a military general. She'd taken a failing facility and, within 18 short months, bled it back into profitability. The board worshipped her, treating her as if she literally walked on water. At our endless, stilted family dinners, Sophia would drop casual mentions of her power lunches with the city's mayor or her upcoming guest lecture at Harvard Medical School. Every word a subtle flex, reminder of her untouchable status. And then there was me, Chloe, the Wharton MBA who, to their eternal bewilderment, chose strategy consulting over stethoscopes. I built algorithms, not operating rooms. In the Vance family's rarefied world, my role as a strategic director at a Fortune 500 tech company was utterly meaningless. Anyone can work with computers, Liam would sneer, his words laced with dismissive contempt. But can you hold a human heart in your hands? The irony of his question burned. While they painstakingly saved lives one at a time, I was designing groundbreaking healthcare AI systems capable of diagnosing rare diseases across millions of patients. Millions. Yet, in the Vance family, if you didn't wear a crisp white coat, if you didn't wield a scalpel or prescribe a pill, you were simply invisible. The question gnawing at my soul, why had Mom chosen me, the family failure, for her final moments instead of her celebrated, brilliant children? Christmas 2023 answered that question, brutally cementing my place in the Vance family hierarchy. The annual Vance holiday party, held at Liam's sprawling Bellevue mansion, was less a celebration and more a medical conference in black tie. 47 relatives, all pillars of the healthcare community, gathered to compare achievements over vintage champagne and surgical war stories. The moment I walked in, the seating assignments screamed my status. Liam had literally placed me at the children's table. There I sat, a Wharton MBA, sandwiched between my 8-year-old nephew and my 10-year-old cousin, eating off a paper plate while the real adults, draped in silk and self-importance, dined on fine china just 20 feet away. "At least the kids here," Liam announced during his pompous toast, gesturing vaguely toward our little island of plastic, "might actually have a future in medicine. Unlike some people who waste their potential on, what is it you do again, Chloe? Instagram strategies?" The room exploded. 47 voices, a chorus of cruel amusement, echoed off the mansion's vaulted ceilings. Sophia, ever the sharp-tongued enforcer, added, "Remember when Chloe wanted to be a doctor? Thank God she figured out her limitations early." I just smiled, nodded, played the assigned role. But what they didn't know, couldn't possibly fathom, was that 3 hours earlier, I'd quietly signed a $500,000 consulting contract with tech venture partners, tasked with architecting their healthcare division's IPO strategy. My signing bonus alone dwarfed Sophia's entire annual salary. But I kept silent. In my family, money from tech was considered fake money, not real earnings from real work. Uncle Gary, a semi-retired anesthesiologist whose condescension felt like a physical weight, patted my head as if I were a toddler. "Don't worry, dear," he cooed. "Not everyone can handle the pressure of real responsibility." I spent the rest of the night serving my young tablemates dessert, a ghost at my own family's feast. I listened as Liam regaled the adults with the myth of his 200th surgery, a dull ache in my chest. Did Mom see this? Did she know how her children treated each other? 5 years. For 5 long years, I'd foolishly served as Vance Medical Group's unpaid IT consultant. 5 years, clinging to the naive hope that if I just kept contributing my expertise, they would finally see my worth, finally offer me a seat at their precious family table. When their archaic patient management system crashed in 2019, plunging their operations into chaos, who did Liam frantically call at 2 a.m.? Me. I dedicated 70 grueling hours, rebuilding their entire digital infrastructure from the ground up, implementing state-of-the-art security protocols that shielded them from a devastating ransomware attack. 3 other Seattle hospitals were crippled, losing millions. Vance Medical Group? Not a single cent lost. When Sophia needed to drag her hospital's diagnostic systems into the 21st century, I designed an AI-assisted triage protocol that slashed wait times by 40% and boosted diagnostic accuracy by 23%. This wasn't abstract tech. This protocol, in its very first month, saved 18 documented, measurable lives. 18 lives through my technology. 2,000 hours of my life, poured into their company over half. A decade. 0 mentions in their polished annual reports. 0 acknowledgments at their exclusive board meetings. When the Seattle Times lauded Vance Medical Group's innovative digital transformation, Sophia, with a straight face, told the reporter, "Oh, we simply hired the best consultants money could buy." She never paid me $1. It's family helping family. Liam would always wave away my attempts to bill them. "You wouldn't charge your own blood, would you? Besides, Chloe, consider it your contribution to real medicine." The equation was stark, brutal. 2,000 hours of my time, millions in saved revenue, incalculable lives improved, 0 recognition. That was my exact value in the Vance family ledger, nothing. Then, a week before Mom died, an email. Subject, your future. "Chloe, we need to talk. Come alone. Don't tell your siblings." It was the last message my mother, Vivian, ever sent me. And even now, 3 months later, sitting in Ethan Reed and Associates' waiting room, I could feel my phone practically burning with the weight of that email. Vance Medical Group wasn't just the family business. It was a sprawling $340 million empire, controlling 12 facilities, employing 3,000 people, and holding ironclad contracts with every major insurer in the Pacific Northwest. And Liam? He was about to torch it all. The merger documents with Saparm International had been circulating like a quiet, venomous whisper among board members. Liam, in his arrogance, believed he was being incredibly discreet. But I'd glimpsed the damning terms during one of my countless unpaid consulting sessions. They were offering a paltry $180 million for a 51% stake, barely half of the company's actual worth. The grotesque catch? Liam himself would pocket a staggering $50 million facilitation fee. Mom's entire vision of community-focused healthcare, a legacy built on compassion, would be brutally dissolved, sacrificed on the altar of a profit-maximizing machine. 70 years of tireless legacy, forged by my grandparents' calloused hands and my mother's brilliant, empathetic mind, about to be sold for Liam's golden parachute. The 2 free clinics Mom had personally funded, her passion projects, would shutter within 6 months. The charity ward she had fiercely insisted on maintaining? Gutted, converted into luxury suites. Everything Vivian Vance had built, everything she believed in, would be hollowed out, sacrificed for fleeting quarterly earnings. If I stayed silent, I would lose more than money. I would lose the last tangible piece of my mother that remained in this world, her unwavering belief that medicine should serve everyone, not just those who could afford it. But speaking up? That meant war. Liam controlled the board through a noxious blend of charm and brute intimidation. Sophia commanded loyalty through sheer icy fear. They had 47 family members, a legion who would blindly choose their side, no questions asked. Me? I had a laptop, a strategic mind honed in the tech world, and whatever secrets Mom had meticulously hidden in that safety deposit box at Chase Private Banking. The stakes were crystal clear, $340 million. 3,000 jobs. My mother's entire legacy. And my final, desperate chance to prove I belonged, not as the overlooked tech sister, but as a true Vance heir. Mom's letter. It was written on her personal stationery, that expensive cream paper she reserved for truly important occasions. Her handwriting, usually so elegant, now showed the faint, heartbreaking tremor of her final days. My dearest Chloe, it began, you're reading this because I'm gone, and you're probably sitting alone while your siblings greedily divide what they believe I've left behind. They see stethoscopes and surgical suites. I see strategy and systems. They saved hundreds. You, my brilliant daughter, will save millions. For 15 long years, I've watched you quietly build empires in Silicon Valley, while your siblings ostentatiously built their egos in operating rooms. Every rejected family dinner invitation, every casually dismissed achievement, every humiliating Christmas spent at the children's table. I saw it all. And I prepared. The enclosed key opens box 447 at the Chase Private Banking downtown branch. Inside, you'll find documents that will change everything. The 5 names listed below are the only people you can truly trust. 1. Ethan Reed, my estate attorney. 2. Daniel Hayes, CEO of Tech Venture Partners. 3. Sarah Lim, Chase Private Wealth Advisor. 4. Dr. Benjamin Carter, an independent board member. 5. Officer Michelle Rodriguez, Securities and Exchange Commission. Your siblings have absolutely no idea about the $12 million trust fund I established in 2009, nor the 35% of Vance Medical Group I've held in your name through a carefully constructed blind trust. They've been making colossal decisions, operating under the misguided assumption that Liam's mere 20% stake grants him control. They are profoundly, catastrophically wrong. Do not reveal this until the shareholders' meeting. Let them show their true colors publicly. Let them expose their ugliness for the world to see. When the moment comes, you'll know. Remember, my love, they worship at the altar of traditional medicine. Make them kneel in their own church. All my love, Mom. The words were alive, vibrant, like she was speaking to me from beyond the grave. My mother's strategic mind, even in death, was still 3 moves ahead. Vivian Vance was playing grandmaster chess, while her children were still stumbling over checkers. Ethan Reed and associates occupied the entire 47th floor of the Columbia Center, their conference room offering a breathtaking, yet oddly menacing, panoramic view of Elliott Bay. At 9 a.m. sharp, I walked in. 47 family members were already assembled, their voices a low, self-important hum of medical terminology and market projections. Liam, radiating arrogant authority, stood at the head of the polished mahogany table, every inch the commanding surgeon. You don't need to be here, Chloe. His voice was a flat dismissal. Mom invited me. I held up her letter, my hand steady. Sophia, perched rigidly at Liam's right hand, interjected, Mom was heavily medicated. Not exactly sound of mind. I met her gaze. Morphine doesn't make you forget your children. I walked to the only empty seat, far at the end of the table, a pariah. Liam's jaw visibly tightened. What, he sneered, could you possibly contribute to a discussion about medical assets? I'm here to listen. Then listen from outside, he spat, practically vibrating with indignation. This is for stakeholders only. I'm family. Family? Liam's laugh was sharp, cold, utterly devoid of warmth. For 15 years, what exactly have you contributed? What surgeries have you performed? What lives have you saved? What medical journals have published your groundbreaking research? The room fell silent. 47 pairs of eyes swiveled, converging on me, savoring my anticipated humiliation. This was Liam's operating room, and he was preparing a public excision. You're right, I said, my voice quiet, surprisingly calm. I haven't saved lives in operating rooms. Exactly. Sophia's smile was a sliver of ice, cold enough to freeze Elliot Bay. So why embarrass yourself? Ethan Reed, standing discreetly by the door, cleared his throat. His gaze, briefly meeting mine, held a flicker of something, anticipation. Perhaps we should begin. Mrs. Vance was quite specific about all named parties being present. Liam waved a dismissive hand. Fine. Let her watch her siblings inherit what she could never earn. Let her watch us carve up her legacy. The next 30 minutes were a masterclass in coordinated, surgical humiliation. As Ethan Reed began reviewing the estate's medical assets, my family, those 47 paragons of medical excellence, formed a deliberate, physical wall of rejection around me. My cousin, Jessica, the pediatric surgeon I'd painstakingly helped get into Johns Hopkins with my glowing recommendation letter, deliberately shifted her chair to completely block my view of the presentation. Maybe you should check your emails, Chloe, she whispered, a saccharine smile playing on her lips. This is pretty complex medical finance stuff. Uncle Gary, whose son I'd patiently tutored through calculus, stood up with a flourish and pointedly closed the blinds directly behind me. The glare must be bothering those of us doing important work, he boomed, leaving me in stark shadow while the rest of the room bathed in artificial light. When Ethan Reed mentioned the hospital's new wing, Sophia cut him off with a proprietary air. That's the Liam Vance Cardiac Center, named after a real contributor to medicine. Her eyes, cold and assessing, fixed on me. Some of us, she drawled, build legacies. Others just exist. 47 backs turned toward me, a perfect, synchronized ballet of disdain. They formed an impenetrable wall of starched white coats and inherited superiority, leaving me utterly alone at my distant end of the table. The message screamed, "You don't belong here. You never will." I pulled out my phone. Not to check emails, not to distract myself from their petty cruelty. I pressed record. The Securities and Exchange Commission, I mused, would be very interested in the private discussions of this family meeting. Ethan Reed, ever observant, watched it all, his pen scratching quietly in his leather portfolio. When Liam, beaming, bragged about the international opportunity he'd secured, Ethan's pen moved faster. When Sophia casually mentioned restructuring redundancies, he underlined something twice. He saw. He knew. Before we continue, Ethan Reed said, his voice cutting through the smug atmosphere, I should note that Mrs. Vivian Vance included a supplemental document to be read after the primary estate division. Liam froze mid-gesture, his carefully constructed facade of control cracking. What supplemental document? His composure shattered like surgical gloves stretched to their breaking point. He strode down the conference table toward me, each step echoing with fury against the marble floor. Let's settle this privately, he snarled, pulling out his personal checkbook, a weapon in his hand. $50,000. Cash. Today. You leave now and you never, ever attend another family business meeting. The room held its collective breath. This was classic Liam, buying problems away before they metastasized into complications. That's generous, I said, my voice even, not even glancing at the check he'd already begun writing. More than generous, Sophia purred, appearing at his shoulder, her eyes glinting with malice. It's 50,000MORETHANYOUDESERVE. TAKEITANSOMESEMBLANCEOFDIGNITY. ORSTAYLIAMPRESSED. HISVOICEALOWGROWL. ANDGETABSOLUTELYNOTHING. YOURENOTINMOMSWILLISABENEFICIARYOF asterisk operator ANY asterisk operator MEDICALASSETS. ETHANCANCONFIRMTHAT. CANTYOU. ETHANREEDNODDED. SLOWLY. DELIBERATELY. THEMEDICALASSETISRESPECIGNATED. YES. SE. LIAMTOREOFFTHECHECKWITHANTFLOURISH. AGROTESQUIUEPARODYOFASURGEONCOMPLETION. 50,000 Mauritania observe, take height, and maintain some mise en place of dignity. Or stay, Liam pressed, his voice a low growl, and just absolutely nothing. Urenidin moms Willis a beneficiary off asterisk operator any asterisk operator medical assets. Ethan confirmed that, Cantire. Ethan Reed nodded, slowly, deliberately. The medic assets are specifically designated, yes. See? Liam Tarif the check with a triumphant flourish. Agrotesquerdia Vajurjan completing a masterful incision. 50,000 or 0. Choose wisely, little sister. Cousin Jessica, from her safe position within the wall of backs, snickered. That's probably more than she makes in a year doing. What is it? Social media? I stood up slowly, deliberately. My gaze met Liam's, unwavering. I'm staying. His face flushed, a violent, angry red, the exact shade it turned during his legendary operating room tantrums. You stupid, stubborn. Mr. Vance, Ethan Reed interrupted, his voice like a surgeon's scalpel, precisely cutting through Liam's building rage. Perhaps we should discuss the supplemental documentation now. It concerns certain assets that aren't medical in nature. Sophia's eyes narrowed, sharp and suspicious. What kind of assets? Ethan Reed, with a deliberate, almost theatrical slowness, pulled out a sealed, official-looking envelope, emblazoned with Chase Private Banking's sophisticated logo. Assets that have been held in trust since 2009, he announced, his voice steady. Assets that, technically, already have a designated owner. Liam's check, which he'd just flourished, fluttered from his suddenly nerveless fingers, forgotten, landing silently on the polished table. What the hell are you talking about? Just then, my phone buzzed. Loudly. The screen illuminated with Daniel Hayes, CEO, Tech Venture Partners. The timing wasn't coincidental. Daniel had been one of the 5 names Mom had so carefully listed in her letter. I need to take this, I said, answering on speakerphone, my voice betraying nothing of the tremor I felt inside. Hi, Daniel. Chloe. Perfect timing. Daniel's voice, clear and enthusiastic, filled the tense room. The board just approved the IPO filing. We need our strategic advisor's signature by noon. Can you swing by? The valuation came in at a staggering $2.3 billion, largely thanks to your healthcare AI integration strategy. Liam scoffed, loud enough for Daniel to hear. His face contorted. Is this a joke? Some startup theatrics. I'm sorry, who is that? Daniel's voice, usually genial, sharpened instantly. "Chloe, are you in a meeting?" "Family estate planning," I replied, a subtle emphasis on family. "I'm with my brother, Dr. Liam Vance." The air crackled. "The Liam Vance," Daniel continued, his tone chillingly precise, "who's been pushing that SAPAR merger that would destroy community healthcare access across Washington? That Liam Vance." The room plunged into stunned silence, even through the speakerphone. Daniel's disdain was a palpable force. Liam's face darkened, a sickly purple. "How does he? Chloe's been advising us on healthcare sector disruptions." Daniel cut him off, smoothly. "She predicted your merger attempt 6 months ago. Called it predictable medical establishment greed. Her counter-strategy is precisely why 3 major tech companies are about to enter the Seattle healthcare market. Oh, and by the way, Chloe, the board just approved your advisory shares. Another 5 million I'm MEDIATELY. SOPHIAGASTRANGGLEDSOUNDCLUTCHETABLEEDGE. 5 million vested immediately. Sophia gasped, a strangled sound, clutching Theodavillage. 5 million. "Sorry, Daniel," I said, ending the call, cutting off any further revelations. "I'll call you back." Liam let out a short, forced laugh. "Tech bubble money. It'll evaporate in a year." Ethan Reed cleared his throat again, drawing everyone's attention. "Speaking of money that won't evaporate, shall we discuss the trust fund Chloe established in 2009? The temperature in the room plummeted a full 10 degrees. Ethan, with the surgical precision of a seasoned professional, opened the sealed envelope, revealing a document bearing Chase Private Banking's prestigious gold seal. The paper itself, thick, official, undeniable, commanded an almost reverent silence. Mrs. Vivian Vance established certain financial arrangements that she chose not to disclose to the family. Ethan began, his voice taking on the solemn gravity of a judge reading a verdict. "These arrangements predate most of the medical acquisitions you've been discussing." Liam stepped forward, desperation coloring his tone. "What arrangements?" "I'm the executive of her estate." "I should know about any. You're the executive of her medical estate," Ethan calmly corrected, a subtle, devastating distinction. "This is something entirely different." Sophia was already pulling out her phone, frantically typing. "I'm calling our lawyers. This sounds completely illegal." "And filed with the SEC in 2009, Ethan continued, unperturbed. "Mrs. Vance was quite thorough. She established a trust, transferred assets, and made certain preparations for today." "What kind of preparations?" Uncle Gary demanded, his voice thick with confusion and dawning fear. Ethan looked directly at me, a subtle nod. "The kind that ensure the right person leads Vance Medical Group into the future." Mrs. Vance believed that medicine needed to evolve, that technology and healthcare would irrevocably merge, and that someone with feet in both worlds would be essential. "That's ridiculous." Liam spat venomously. "I've been groomed for leadership since you were 12, Ethan finished for him, his gaze unwavering. "Yes, Mrs. Vance mentioned that. She also mentioned that in 15 years of preparation, you never once asked about her vision for the future. You assumed you knew it." He pulled out another document. "This will be fully revealed at the shareholders' meeting on March 15th. As per Mrs. Vance's explicit instructions, the Fairmont Olympic Hotel, 2 p.m. I trust you'll all be there." Liam's hands clenched into white-knuckled fists. "What are you hiding?" "Nothing," Ethan replied, his voice calm, steady, absolutely confident. "I'm simply following Vivian's timeline." March 15th dawned with Seattle's signature gray drizzle, but inside the opulent grand ballroom of the Fairmont Olympic Hotel, the atmosphere crackled with an almost tangible electricity. 300 attendees filled every gilded chair, major shareholders, ravenous medical journal reporters, representatives from Reuters and Bloomberg, and every significant healthcare executive in the Pacific Northwest. This wasn't just a meeting. Liam had meticulously orchestrated it as his grand coronation. Banners proclaiming Vance Medical Group, the future of healthcare, flanked a majestic stage where he stood, resplendent in his finest Italian suit, a wireless microphone clipped to his lapel like a newly minted Medal of Honor. "Ladies and gentlemen," he boomed, his voice resonating with the self-assured authority forged from countless surgical victories. "The Vance family has proudly served Seattle's medical needs for 3 generations. My grandfather began with a single, humble clinic. My mother, Vivian, expanded it to 12 thriving facilities. And today, under my leadership, we stand poised for global expansion." The audience, captivated, erupted in polite applause. I sat in the very last row, an unassuming manila folder clutched in my lap, silently observing as Liam painted his grandiose vision of a medical dynasty. "The Vance family," he continued, gesturing dramatically to Sophia, who sat primly beside him, "consists of dedicated medical professionals. My sister, Sophia, who heroically turned Cascade Private Hospital profitable. Myself, with over 2,000 successful cardiac surgeries to my name. We embody medical excellence." He paused, his eyes sweeping the crowd, finally landing on me, a single, cold dart. "Of course," he drawled, a smirk playing on his lips, "not everyone in the family followed our noble calling. Some chose easier paths, less meaningful pursuits. But we don't let one bad apple spoil the barrel of our cherished medical heritage." A ripple of nervous laughter swept through the crowd. The Bloomberg reporter was already furiously typing on her phone. "Which is why," Liam announced, his voice hardening, "we are implementing new bylaws. Effective immediately, only medical professionals will hold voting shares in Vance Medical Group. We must preserve the purity of our mission." I stood up. 300 heads swiveled, a sudden, collective movement, as I began to walk toward the stage, my heels clicking a deliberate rhythm against the polished marble floor. Sophia snatched the microphone, her smile razor-sharp, ready to perform a verbal surgery. Before any interruptions, she purred, her eyes fixed on me with thinly veiled malice. "Let me present our 5-year projection under the new structure." The massive presentation screen behind her blazed to life, displaying meticulous charts. Charts that depicted the systematic, brutal removal of non-medical shareholders. A category with precisely one member, me. The audience shifted, audibly, uncomfortably. They recognized a public execution when they saw one. "As you can see," Sophia continued, her laser pointer circling my name on the chart like a predator circling prey, "removing unqualified influences will streamline decision-making and ensure medical integrity. Some people," she sneered, "think watching Grey's Anatomy makes them healthcare experts." The joke landed with a thud, poorly received. A few nervous chuckles died instantly when they saw my face remain utterly calm, completely unfazed. Liam snatched the mic back. "We're not being cruel," he declared, striving for an air of weary practicality. "We're being practical. Would you want someone who's never held a scalpel making decisions about surgical protocols? Someone whose biggest achievement is making computers talk to each other?" The Reuters reporter, sensing blood in the water, raised her hand. "Mr. Vance, are you referring to a specific family member?" "I'm referring to maintaining standards," Liam replied smoothly, his veneer of control momentarily back. "Excellence demands exclusivity." I reached the stage steps. Security guards, burly men in dark suits, moved to block my path. But then, as if on cue, Ethan Reed appeared from a side entrance, his presence radiating quiet authority. He wasn't alone. Daniel Hayes, from Tech Venture Partners, was right behind him, along with 3 other individuals I instantly recognized from Mom's secret list. "I believe Miss Vance has something to contribute," Ethan announced, his voice carrying an undeniable legal weight. That made the security guards pause, then reluctantly step aside. The audience leaned forward, a collective gasp. Phones materialized, ready to capture whatever raw drama was about to erupt. The Bloomberg reporter, already a step ahead, was live tweeting, "Major disruption at Vance Medical shareholders meeting. Family dispute going public." "A shareholders meeting," I corrected, my voice firm, as I stepped onto the brightly lit stage. "And I have an announcement regarding shareholdings." I stood at the podium, 300 pairs of eyes, a dizzying sea of faces, locked onto me. Liam and Sophia flanked me like disapproving, hostile bookends, their entire body language screaming raw contempt. The Bloomberg reporter's phone was raised, live-streaming this spectacle to thousands. "I have documentation regarding Vance Medical Group ownership," I stated, my voice steady, despite the frantic drumming of my heart. Liam, still holding his hot mic, let out a condescending bark of laughter. "Everyone, my sister thinks she has documentation. What's next, Chloe? Did you buy a share on Robinhood?" A nervous titter rippled through the audience. Someone whispered, "This is embarrassing." I opened my simple manila folder, deliberately slowly, and pulled out the first document. "This," I announced, holding it aloft for all to see, "is a certificate of ownership, filed with the SEC in 2009, notarized by Ethan Reed and Associates, and validated by Chase Private Banking." Sophia stepped forward, her face blanching. "That's impossible. I've seen all ownership records." "You've seen the public records," Ethan Reed's voice cut in from the edge of the stage, calmly correcting her. "Mrs. Vivian Vance maintained private trusts that weren't required to be disclosed until activated." "Activated?" Liam's confidence visibly wavered, his facade crumbling. "What do you mean, activated?" I held up the certificate, its gold seal gleaming under the stage lights, the official stamps, the undeniable legitimacy, screaming its truth. "As of today," I said, each word a hammer blow, "I own 35% of Vance Medical Group." Silence. Absolute, complete, suffocating silence. Then Liam let out a laugh. It was forced. It was desperate. "That's impossible." "Mom's shares were split. Between the children she told you about," I interrupted, my voice laced with a cold satisfaction. "But Mom played a much longer, far more strategic game. She transferred shares to a blind trust in my name when I was 19. The year I chose Stanford over medical school. The year you all wrote me off as a complete failure." Daniel Hayes, ever the professional, stepped forward. "I can verify this. Tech Venture Partners has been working with Miss Vance, knowing she was the majority shareholder. It's why we chose her as our strategic healthcare advisor." The room erupted. Cameras flashed, blinding. Reporters shouted questions, a cacophony of stunned disbelief. The impossible had just happened. This was the moment everything irrevocably changed. Ethan Reed, now a figure of immense authority, stepped onto the stage, his leather portfolio clutched firmly. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ethan Reed, estate attorney for the late Vivian Vance. I can confirm that Miss Chloe Vance is indeed the single largest individual shareholder of Vance Medical Group." He pulled out a stack of documents, each one crisply official, bearing irrefutable seals. "Trust Fund Number TMH 2009-8847, established at Chase Private Banking. Initial transfer of 15% ownership in 2009, with additional transfers in 2011, 2015, and 2019, totaling 35% of all outstanding shares." The math was not just simple. It was absolutely devastating. Liam owned 20%. Sophia, a mere 12%. The remaining family members and institutional investors collectively held 33%. I, Chloe Vance, controlled the company. "This is fraud." Liam shrieked, his surgical composure completely shattered, replaced by raw, untamed panic. "Mom would never." "Your mother was quite specific, Mr. Vance," Ethan continued, his voice calm, projecting a scanned document onto the massive screen. A quote in Vivian's elegant, albeit trembling, script, "My daughter Chloe sees the future, while my other children cling to the past." Healthcare isn't just about surgery anymore. It's about systems, data, and accessibility. She understands this. They don't. Gasps rippled, a collective wave, through the audience. The Reuters reporter was typing so furiously I could almost hear the clicks across the ballroom. Breaking. Tech executive revealed as majority owner of $340 million Vance Medical Group in dramatic family coup. Sophia, her face a mask of fury, snatched the microphone. "Even if this is real, she knows nothing about medicine." "She can't what?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Can't stop you from selling our community hospitals to stop harm for a fraction of their value? Can't prevent Liam from collecting his $50 million commission while utterly destroying Mom's charity programs. Liam's face went ghastly white. How do you know about? Because unlike you, I retorted, I actually read the board minutes. All of them. Including the ones you thought were private. The audience erupted into chaos. This wasn't just a family dispute anymore. It was a full-blown corporate revolution, unfolding in electrifying, devastating real time. Daniel Hayes, a man who had commanded venture capitalist boardrooms and emerged victorious, now took the stage. His presence was calm, assured, radiating a quiet, undeniable power. Since we're discussing qualifications, he began, his voice cutting through the remaining murmurs, let me share something about Chloe Vance that her family seems to have conveniently missed. He pulled up his phone, projecting an email onto the colossal screen. This, he announced, is from our board of directors at Tech Venture Partners. Miss Vance served as our strategic healthcare advisor for our $2.3 billion IPO, the largest healthcare technology offering in Pacific Northwest history. The email, stark and irrefutable, flashed its message, Chloe Vance's strategic vision increased our valuation by 40%. Her healthcare AI protocols are being adopted by 16 major hospital systems. Goldman Sachs, Daniel continued, his voice dripping with emphasis, called her the architect of modern healthcare integration. He paused, letting the words hang in the stunned silence. He added, his voice dropping slightly, turned down a $5 million bonus to be here today. Google, Apple, and Amazon have all tried to poach her with seven-figure packages. She refused them all. To stay in Seattle. To try and save her family's company from the inside. That's tech money, not real money, Liam spluttered, his voice barely a coherent whisper. Real enough, Daniel interrupted, his tone sharp and unwavering, that her strategies saved 12 rural hospitals from closure last year. Her diagnostic algorithms have identified rare diseases in over 10,000 patients who would have tragically died waiting for traditional diagnoses. How many lives have your surgeries saved, Dr. Vance? 2,000? She saved 5 times that with code. The Bloomberg reporter, electrified, was on her feet. Mr. Hayes, are you saying Miss Vance has been running a shadow healthcare operation? I'm saying she's been building the future, Daniel replied, his gaze sweeping over Liam and Sophia, while her family was stubbornly protecting the past. The only reason Vance Medical Group hasn't already been acquired by a tech giant is because Chloe convinced us to wait. She wanted to preserve her mother's legacy. Sophia, utterly defeated, visibly sagged into a chair, the crushing weight of reality finally hitting her. I pulled out Mom's final letter, my hands steady, though a tidal wave of emotion threatened to overwhelm me. Before we vote on anything, I announced, my voice clear and resonating, I think the shareholders should hear Vivian Vance's actual vision. The room fell into an almost sacred silence as I began to read. To the esteemed shareholders of Vance Medical Group, if you are hearing this, then my daughter, Chloe, has finally taken her rightful place. For 15 long years, I watched my other children, my medical children, dismiss her because she chose circuits over surgery. They never understood that she wasn't abandoning medicine, she was evolving it. While Liam performed his intricate surgeries, Chloe designed systems that could prevent the need for surgery altogether. While Sophia meticulously managed one hospital, Chloe created platforms that could manage hundreds. They saved lives in operating rooms. Chloe saved lives at scale. I transferred 35% ownership to Chloe not as favoritism, but as strategy. The future of healthcare isn't in scalpels, it's in systems. It's not individual brilliance, it's accessible intelligence. Liam and Sophia are excellent at what medicine was. Chloe understands what medicine must become. The charity programs, the free clinics, the community outreach, these were never mere tax write-offs. They were the very soul of our mission. Any merger that threatens them betrays everything we painstakingly built. Any leadership that prioritizes profit over patients has utterly forgotten our purpose. Chloe never sought your approval because she didn't need it. She had mine. And now she has the power to ensure Vance Medical Group serves the future, not just the past. Trust her vision. I did. Vivian Vance. When I finished reading, the silence was profound. Several board members were unashamedly wiping tears from their eyes. The Reuters reporter had stopped typing entirely, her pen frozen, simply staring. Even Liam stood utterly motionless, his face a mask of shock. Mom's words, a powerful, undeniable verdict, hung heavy in the air. Motion to cancel the SOPAR merger, I stated, my voice cutting through the stunned ballroom. All in favor? Motion to terminate the SOPAR merger agreement, I repeated, louder, my voice echoing. As majority shareholder, I call for an immediate vote. Liam finally found his voice, a strangled croak. You can't just, according to corporate bylaws, Ethan Reed smoothly interjected, any shareholder with more than 30% ownership can call an emergency vote. Ms. Vance owns 35%. The board members exchanged rapid, uneasy glances. Dr. Benjamin Carter, the independent director Mom had named in her letter, stood first, his face resolute. I second the motion. The SOPAR deal undervalues our assets by 47%. I've been saying this for months, but Liam wouldn't listen. All in favor? I asked, my gaze sweeping the room. Hands rose. Slowly at first. Tentatively. Then in an unstoppable wave. My 35%. Dr. Carter's 8%. 3 institutional investors, holding a combined 15%. Even some family members, finally freed from Liam's toxic influence, tentatively raised their hands. Motion carries with 58% approval, Ethan announced. The SOPAR merger is terminated. Liam's face cycled through shades of red, then purple, his chest heaving. That's the $50 million commission you were taking, I finished, my voice like ice, while selling out Mom's legacy. And the SEC filing you signed? It has a clawback provision. Any terminated merger means you personally owe the company $3 million in already spent preparatory costs. Sophia gasped, a sharp, choked sound. Liam, you said there was no risk. There wasn't, he sputtered, sweat beading on his forehead. Until I exercised my legal rights as majority shareholder, I corrected, pulling up another document on my phone. Speaking of which, I make a motion to remove Liam Vance as CEO for breach of fiduciary duty. The SOPAR negotiations violated 3 board resolutions regarding maintaining charitable operations. The vote was even faster this time. 62% in favor. Motion carries, Ethan announced. Dr. Liam Vance is removed as CEO, effective immediately. The Bloomberg Reporter's headline was already live, flashing across screens worldwide. Family coup, tech executive overthrows medical dynasty in boardroom bloodbath. The entire ballroom erupted as the full, seismic reality sank in. Liam stood frozen at the podium, his carefully constructed world crumbling into dust in real time. The remaining board members, a flurry of whispers and worried glances, were already reorganizing, instinctively gravitating toward the new power structure. Dr. Carter seized the microphone. We need interim leadership immediately. I nominate Chloe Vance as strategic board chair. Seconded. Sarah Lim called out, her voice strong, from Chase Private Banking. We've monitored Ms. Vance's strategic decisions for 15 years. She's ready. She's not even a doctor. Sophia protested weakly, her voice thin. Neither was Steve Jobs, but he revolutionized healthcare technology, Dr. Carter replied, his tone dismissive. The position of strategic board chair doesn't require medical credentials. It requires vision. Motion to vote. The result was overwhelming, 71% in favor. Even some family members who'd pointedly ignored me for years now eagerly raised their hands, suddenly discerning which way the powerful wind was blowing. Additionally, I said, taking full, firm control of the meeting, Sophia will maintain her operational role at Cascade Private Hospital, but she'll report to the board, not to the CEO. Any objections? Sophia looked like she wanted to object, her jaw working, but the futility of it settled over her like a shroud. No, she whispered, defeated. As for the new CEO position, I continued, my gaze sweeping over the eager faces, We'll conduct a national search. But I can tell you now, it won't be someone who values profit over patience or connections over competence." The Reuters reporter, her hand still raised, eagerly asked, "Miss Vance, what's your immediate priority?" "Implementing the Vivian Vance Community Care Initiative," I declared, my voice ringing with purpose. "A $30 million investment in free clinics and AI-assisted diagnostics for underserved communities. It's what my mother wanted, and it's what Seattle desperately needs." Applause erupted, spontaneous and heartfelt. Not from my family. They stood in stunned, horrified silence. But from the institutional investors, from the genuine medical professionals long silenced by Liam's monumental ego, and from the reporters who, with every flashing camera, recognized they were witnessing history unfold. Liam, his voice a hollow whisper, finally spoke. You planned this." As the meeting dissolved into a frenzied chaos of reporters rushing to file their stories, board members frantically making calls, and family members huddling in shocked, disbelieving clusters, Liam cornered me in the opulent marble hallway outside the ballroom. "You planned this," he repeated, his surgeon's hands clenched into white-knuckled fists, his face a mask of furious betrayal. "This whole thing was calculated." "I didn't plan anything," I replied calmly, my voice steady. "Mom did. I just executed her vision." Sophia joined us, her designer heels clicking a sharp punctuation on the marble floor. "How long have you known about the shares?" "Since the day she died," I said, meeting her eyes. "But you two have been dismissing me for 15 years. Why would that change if you knew I had power?" "We're family," Liam said, clinging to the word like a drowning man to driftwood, as if it still held any meaning. You could have told us. Like you told me about the SOP arm deal. Like you included me in board meetings. Like you acknowledged my contributions to the company's digital infrastructure." I pulled out my phone, opening a folder. 500 emails I showed them over 5 years. Begging to be included. To contribute. To help. You responded to exactly 0. Sophia's carefully constructed face crumbled slightly. We thought you were happy in tech." "I was. I am," I agreed, my tone hardening. "But I also wanted to be part of our family's legacy. You made it explicitly clear that only medical degrees counted. So I built my own legacy. And Mom saw it, even if you didn't." Liam tried one last desperate manipulation. "The family, they'll never accept you as the family just voted me in with 71% approval." I cut him off, my voice steely. "They accept success, Liam. They always have. You taught me that." I turned to leave, then paused, looking back at them, defeated. "Your things will be packed and sent to your home. Don't come to the executive floor. Security has already been notified." Their silence followed me down the hall. My phone, in the days that followed, became a chilling museum of family hypocrisy. Within 72 hours of that meeting, all 47 family members who'd pointedly ignored me for 15 years suddenly remembered my existence. Cousin Jessica, the pediatric surgeon who'd actively blocked my view at the estate meeting, texted, "Always knew you were special, Chloe. Let's grab coffee and discuss opportunities at the pediatric center." I screenshot that, placing it next to her message from 2 years ago. "Stop bothering me with your computer stuff." Uncle Gary sent a formal, verbose email proposing a strategic family partnership, conveniently mentioning his always recognized potential in me. This from the man who'd literally turned his back on me just 3 months earlier. I forwarded it to my assistant with one word: decline. The most pathetic attempt came from Liam's wife, Laura, a woman who had never spoken a direct word to me in 20 years. She called, her voice thick with performative tears, wailing about their mortgage, their kids' private school tuition, how Liam was suffering. I coldly reminded her of that Christmas dinner where she'd loudly questioned if I could even afford to contribute to the family gift exchange. Only 2 cousins reached out with genuine, unburdened congratulations. Sarah, a nurse who had always been kind despite immense family pressure, and Michael, a medical student who had secretly sought my career advice. They were the only family members I responded to. I created a new folder on my drive, Family Revisionist History, and every single one of those desperate, opportunistic messages was filed there. My lawyer suggested keeping them for potential future legal issues, but I had a different purpose. They were stark, irrefutable reminders of precisely why boundaries exist. The mass blocking took 5 minutes. 45 family members, gone from my phone, email, and social media. Sarah and Michael remained. My real family, Daniel Hayes, my incredible team at work, the mentors who had genuinely supported me, they were the ones celebrating with me. Amazing, I told Ethan Reed, a dry smile playing on my lips, how 35% ownership improves people's memory. He just offered a knowing, quiet smile in return. The professional dominoes, once set in motion, fell fast and hard. Liam's carefully constructed medical empire crumbled in a cascade of consequences that played out in glaring public view. First, his board positions. Within 2 weeks, Liam was stripped from the boards of Seattle Presbyterian, Cascade Medical Ventures, and Northwest Surgical Associates. The official reasons varied: strategic restructuring, new directions, fresh perspectives, but everyone knew the brutal truth. His disastrous $50 million subprime deal had irrevocably exposed him as someone who'd gleefully sell out healthcare for naked personal gain. Sophia's situation was more complex. An internal audit I'd ordered revealed a shocking $2.3 million in questionable allocations at her hospital, funds brazenly diverted from charity care to inflate executive bonuses. She wasn't fired, but she accepted a humiliating demotion to deputy director rather than face a full-blown forensic accounting investigation. Her coveted Harvard guest lecture was quietly, unceremoniously canceled. The financial hit to Liam was severe, immediate. He'd already splurged $8 million of his expected subprime commission on a new Bellevue mansion, a symbol of his hubris. With the deal dead and his CEO's salary gone, he was forced to list his current penthouse at a devastating $2 million loss. The Seattle Times ran a photo of the for sale sign with the ironic, brutal headline, "How the Mighty Fall." His medical practice, too, suffered irreparable damage. 3 partners at his surgical group formally requested he take an indefinite sabbatical after patients started emphatically requesting different surgeons. "I don't want someone who'd sell out healthcare operating on my heart," one patient told the media, her words echoing public sentiment. The final, crushing blow came from the IRS. The failed merger triggered a swift, merciless review of Liam's past tax filings, specifically dubious deductions he'd claimed for medical research that looked suspiciously like lavish family vacations. He now faced a brutal $4.7 million tax bill, complete with crippling penalties. In just 14 dizzying days, Liam plummeted from the undisputed king of Seattle medicine to a cautionary tale about hubris, unbridled greed, and the catastrophic danger of underestimating family members. While Liam's world imploded, mine expanded in ways I'd never dared to imagine. The numbers told a story of vindication, a triumph no amount of family dismissal could ever erase. My net worth skyrocketed from $2 million to an astonishing $78 million overnight, once the market recognized Vance Medical Group's true value under new, competent leadership. The 35% stake Mom had so brilliantly hidden for 15 years was now worth more than Liam's and Sophia's combined assets had ever been. 3 TED Talk invitations arrived within a month. I accepted one. When family rejects your future, building healthcare's tomorrow, despite yesterday's doubts. It would eventually reach 12 million views. Harvard Business School announced they were writing a case study about the takeover, titled The Vance Reversal, When Outsiders Become Ultimate Insiders. They interviewed me for 6 intense hours, utterly fascinated by Mom's long-term strategy and my patient, deliberate execution. But the achievement that mattered most, the one that resonated deepest, was breaking ground on the Vivian Vance Community Care Center, a state-of-the-art facility seamlessly combining free healthcare with cutting-edge AI diagnostics. The ceremony drew hundreds, including the governor, who hailed it as the future of accessible medicine. I stood there, holding Mom's photo, as I turned the first shovel of dirt. The second quarter results under my leadership spoke volumes. A 32% revenue increase. A 50% reduction in patient complaints. a 100% retention of all charity programs. The very same family members who'd mocked my computer skills now watched, in stunned silence, as those skills transformed a stagnant medical empire into a blazing beacon of healthcare innovation. Daniel Hayes sent me a congratulations card with a single, poignant line, "Your mother saw what they couldn't." That healing isn't just about medicine. It's about systems that make medicine accessible to all. I framed it, placing it proudly next to my MBA, my tech awards, and that cherished photo of Mom. The wall that once felt empty, filled with achievements my family hadn't valued, now told the complete, undeniable story of my worth. 6 months after the takeover, Liam, through his lawyer, requested a meeting. I agreed, but on my terms. Ethan Reed's office, lawyers present, recorded for legal protection, and strictly limited to 30 minutes. Liam arrived looking diminished, a shadow of his former self. His bespoke designer suit was replaced with an off-the-rack version, his surgeon's swagger reduced to careful, almost shuffling steps. He sat across the conference table like a defendant, not the brother who had once ruled our family with an iron fist. "I need to return to the company," he began, his voice hoarse. "Not as CEO, just as a surgeon. I have skills." "You have skills," I agreed, my tone detached. "But Vance Medical Group doesn't need them. Seattle has many hospitals. Apply there." "They won't hire me." "You know that." "I know that's a consequence of your choices, Liam. Not mine." Sophia, who joined virtually, tried the old emotional manipulation. "We're family, Chloe." "Doesn't that mean anything?" "It means everything," I replied, my voice unwavering, laced with a quiet power. "Which is precisely why your treatment of me for 15 years has established exactly what our relationship is. You taught me that family is conditional on medical degrees and traditional success. I'm simply applying your rules." "We were wrong," Liam started, a pathetic plea. "Yes, you were," I finished, my voice flat. "And being wrong has consequences." I slid a document across the table. "These are the terms for any future interaction. Professional communication only, through assistants or lawyers. No family events where business might be discussed. No requests for recommendations, interventions, or special treatment. No attempts to leverage our biological relationship for professional gain." "This is cruel," Sophia whispered, her face pale on the screen. "This is boundaries," I corrected, my gaze piercing. "Something I should have established years ago. You're not entitled to my success just because we share DNA. You made that painstakingly clear when you felt I had nothing to offer. The rule hasn't changed just because the positions have." Ethan Reed ended the meeting precisely at 30 minutes. Liam left without another word, his head bowed. The second quarter under my strategic leadership proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that competence trumps credentials. Vance Medical Group posted its best financial results in its 70-year history, revenue up 32%, patient satisfaction at 94%, and operational costs down 18% through AI-driven efficiency improvements. The Vivian Vance Community Care Center treated its first 1,000 patients for free, our diagnostic AI catching 17 cases of rare diseases that traditional screening had tragically missed. Local news hailed it as revolutionary healthcare democracy. I called it Mom's vision, finally, truly realized. Liam formally requested reinstatement twice more. Both times, rejected by the board without any input from me. His reputation in Seattle medical circles was irrevocably toxic, the surgeon who tried to sell out community healthcare for personal gain. He eventually took a position in Portland, a humiliating demotion that required him to sell his remaining Seattle properties at a steep loss. Sophia, surprisingly, adapted better. She accepted her reduced role with quiet dignity, focusing on operational excellence at her single hospital, no longer trying to empire build. In our only direct interaction since the meeting, she admitted, "You were right, Chloe. I was so focused on managing one hospital that I never saw the bigger picture Mom saw in you." The new CEO we hired, Dr. James Park, a brilliant Korean-American physician with both medical and technology degrees, represented everything the old guard feared: diversity, innovation, and unwavering patient-first priorities. Liam would have absolutely loathed him. Mom? She would have loved him. Our third quarter projections showed continued, robust growth, with 3 more community care centers planned. The same boardroom where I'd been so brutally humiliated now treated my presentations with the respect they had always deserved. Best quarter in 70 years, Dr. Carter announced at the board meeting, his voice beaming. Achieved when we finally let the right person lead, regardless of their degree. I started therapy 2 months after the takeover. Not because I was struggling, but because I wanted to process 15 years of accumulated family trauma in a healthy, constructive way. Dr. Martinez, recommended by Daniel Hayes, specialized in family dynamics and professional identity. You spent so long fighting for their approval, she observed during our 6th session, her voice gentle. How does it feel to realize you never needed it? Free, I answered immediately. And angry that it took Mom dying for me to see it. The anger faded with time, replaced by something far more valuable, peace. I built my chosen family carefully, deliberately. Daniel Hayes became the mentor Liam never was. My team at work celebrated my victories without a flicker of jealousy, and new friends in the tech health space understood my vision without needing endless explanation. I started mentoring young women in technology, especially those from medical families who didn't understand their career choices. My monthly Breaking the Stethoscope Ceiling workshops drew hundreds of attendees. One young woman, tears streaming down her face after my talk, said, "My parents are both doctors. They call my computer science degree a waste. You just showed me it's not." On Sunday mornings, I visited Mom's grave at Lakeview Cemetery. The elaborate Vance family plot had spaces for everyone except, apparently, the non-medical daughter. I bought my own plot nearby, close enough to visit Mom, far enough to maintain boundaries even in death. "I did it, Mom," I whispered to her headstone after the 4th quarter results came in. "Not the way you planned, maybe, but the way it needed to happen. The company is thriving. Your charity vision is alive. And I finally understand what you tried to teach me, that my worth was never dependent on their validation." A year ago, I'd stood alone at her deathbed. Now, I stood alone by choice. Finally understanding the profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Looking back now, I realize Mom's greatest gift wasn't the 35% ownership or the $12 million trust fund. It was teaching me, through her death and that final, powerful letter, that family isn't about blood. It's about who sees your value when you're not performing for them. For 15 years, I bent myself into knots, trying desperately to earn a place at a table that was never, ever built to include me. I brought my expertise, my connections, my unpaid labor, clinging to the naive hope that eventually, achievement would translate to acceptance. It never did. Success without a stethoscope was utterly invisible in the Vance family. But here's what I learned. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time, not the 15th. Liam and Sophia didn't suddenly become dismissive when Mom died. They'd always been that way. I just kept hoping their love for me would eventually outweigh their love for status. The boundaries I set weren't about punishment or revenge. They were about finally accepting that some relationships are purely transactional. And when you have nothing they want, you become nothing to them. The moment I had something they needed, power, money, influence, suddenly I was family again. That's not love. That's opportunism. Your worth isn't determined by people who only see your value when it benefits them. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop trying to earn love that should be freely given. Set your boundaries not from anger, but from absolute clarity. Build your chosen family from those who celebrated you before you had power, not those who suddenly remembered you after. Success isn't about proving wrong those who doubted you. It's about finally believing those who never did, including yourself. Vance Medical Group is thriving. Mom's vision is realized. And I am, finally, at peace with being the family outlier who became the family leader. It's a strange thing, isn't it? To find peace and purpose where you once felt only rejection. My story is living proof that sometimes the greatest betrayals lead to the most profound triumphs. But it wasn't easy. I'm still processing the sheer audacity, the depth of their calculated dismissal. If you've ever felt overlooked or underestimated by your own family, I'd love to hear your story. What boundaries did you have to set? Or if you were in my shoes, would you have done anything differently? Let me know in the comments below. I'm reading everything. And if this resonated with you, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories of quiet rebellion. Thank you for watching.